Okay, let's talk about what it means for a country to be developed. We often think, oh, it's just about being rich, right?
Yeah, that's the common idea, but it's usually broader than just the economy.
Exactly. So today, we're doing a deep dive into India's Viksit Bharat 2047 plan. Think of this as like your quick guide to understanding this huge ambition.
hmm Our mission here is really to unpack the core vision, the main goals, and the strategy India is laying out to hit developed status by 2047, its 100th year.
Okay, so first things first, defining developed. It's not just one thing, is it?
Not at all. I mean, yes, economic indicators are crucial things like per capita income, GDP size, but there's also the Human Development Index, or HDI.
Ah, right. That looks at health, education, living standards.
Precisely. Plus, you'd expect significant industrialization, advanced technology. There isn't like a single universal checklist.
Which makes understanding India's specific targets under Viksit Bharat even more important. So what is the core vision?
Well, the big idea, the headline, is transforming India into a developed nation by that 2047 deadline. Their slogan is bold vision, brighter future.
Catchy. And what are the main areas they're focusing on?
It breaks down into roughly four big themes: economic prosperity, social advancement, environmental sustainability, and crucially, good governance. They all need to work together.
Makes sense. Can we get into some specifics? What kind of numbers are they aiming for?
Okay, on the economy, the targets are pretty staggering. A GDP of somewhere between 30 and 40 trillion US dollars.
Wow. Okay. And per capita.
They're looking at $15,000 to $18,000 per person. That would firmly put India into the high income category by global standards.
And socially, beyond just income.
Yeah, a huge goal is aiming for basically zero poverty. Plus things like quality education and healthcare for everyone, hitting net zero carbon emissions, transparent governance, and being a real leader in tech and innovation.
That is a lot. How are they structuring this? Is there a framework?
There is, actually. It's sort of multi-layered. You've got these four pillars: Yuva, that's youth; Garib the poor; Mahilian women; and Anodata the farmers.
Okay. Youth, poor, women, farmers.
Yeah.
Foundational.
Right. And PM Modi has also mentioned six other pillars, like making India a global manufacturing hub, reviving traditional knowledge systems, things like that.
In themes, too, you mentioned.
Yes, five broad themes, things like empowered Indians, thriving and sustainable economy, innovation, science and tech, good governance and security, and India in the world. It guides the focus.
So underneath all that, which sectors are getting priority?
Well, agriculture is key, obviously, with the annotated pillar. Also, MSMEs, the small, medium businesses.
Yeah.
Big push on investment, exports, manufacturing, services, and the sunrise sectors.
Sunrise sectors, like what?
Things like digital public infrastructure,
Oh.
the digital backbone like UPI, Aadhaar, and definitely renewable energy. Big focus there.
Okay, let's circle back to those economic numbers. A $30–40 trillion economy. What kind of growth rate does that actually require?
Sustained high growth, really high. Niti Aayog, the think tank, suggests maybe 7 to 10% annual GDP growth is needed for a while.
7 to 10%.
Consistently, yeah. The economic survey mentioned around 8%. The World Bank's estimate was closer to 7.8%. Arvind Panagarya calculated about 7.3% annual growth in per capita income in dollar terms.
And where is India now, just for perspective?
Currently, GDP is roughly 3.5 to 4 trillion USD, and per capita income is around $2,500 to $2,600. So you see the scale of the jump needed. It's massive.
Truly massive. What about the social targets, like literacy, life expectancy?
Big goals there, too. Aiming for 100% literacy was around 74% back in the 2011 census, so still some way to go. Boosting life expectancy above 80 years, currently about 70.
And poverty reduction.
A major target. Getting multidimensional poverty, which considers more than just income below 5%. Last figures put it around 11.28%.
To support all this growth, infrastructure must be key, right?
Absolutely essential. Huge plans for transport highways, railways, ports, airports. Developing smart cities. Expanding the energy sector, especially renewables, like we said, and building out that digital infrastructure.
That sounds expensive.
It is. It requires enormous capital expenditure. Public-private partnerships, or PPPs, are seen as really vital to making it happen.
And underpinning all of this activity, the governance side, what needs to change there?
Efficiency and transparency seem to be the focus, making it easier to do business by cutting red tape, expanding digital governance, things like e-services, direct benefit transfers to people's accounts, and just generally strengthening institutions.
It sounds incredibly ambitious. What are the potential, stumbling blocks, the big challenges?
There are quite a few hurdles. A major one economists talk about is the middle income trap, where countries get stuck and growth slows down before they reach high income status.
Right, avoiding stagnation.
Exactly. Then there's managing income inequality, creating enough good jobs for that young population, skills development, keeping inflation in check, attracting all that investment needed.
Not to mention social gaps.
Yes, disparities in education, healthcare access, gender equality, and of course, environmental sustainability alongside growth. Plus, just making sure governance reforms actually translate into real changes on the ground.
So, bringing it all together, what's the general feeling from experts? Is Viksit Bharat 2047 seen as, well, doable?
I'd say the consensus is ambitious, but potentially feasible. It hinges on maintaining that very high growth and successfully implementing deep structural reforms. NTI Aayog expresses confidence.
And international bodies.
The World Bank, the IMF, they seem cautiously optimistic, often highlighting the need for those reforms. Consultants like Deloitte India, economists like Panagaria also suggest it's possible, but stress the if the right policies are consistently pursued.
Okay, so wrapping this up, the key takeaway from our deep dive today on Viksit Bharat 2047.
It's that this is a truly holistic vision. It's not just about the economy. Success really depends on synchronizing progress across economic, social, environmental, and governance fronts. Everything has to move forward together.
It really paints a picture of a nation aiming for a fundamental transformation. Thanks for breaking that down. So maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. Considering everything we've discussed, the scale of it all, what single factor do you reckon will be the most critical make-or-break element for Viksit Bharat by 2047? Something to ponder. Thanks for joining our deep dive today. Hopefully this gives you a clearer view of India's path ahead.